Hiya, noswaith dda, diolch yn fawr I pawb. My name is Alys Samuel-Thomas and I am a second year PhD researcher at Swansea University and I'm studying the politics of cross-border conservation of coastal habitats across the UK and Ireland. But what does this actually mean? So many of you will know exactly where this photo is taken and probably cross this bridge all the time. I'm from Llanelli, so I know this bridge very well. This is actually where we are today. This is the Loch Estuary, or Bury Inlet, and it's home to extensive areas of grazed salt marsh, of sand flats, mud flats, and is also home to internationally significant waders and wildfowl. But it also acts as the border between Llanelli and Swansea, and Carmarthenshire County and Swansea County. But why does this matter? Well, as you can see, the system itself is completely connected, but it has an arbitrary border through it. So that means that there may be different approaches when it comes to council priorities for conservation. It may be that there's different cultures on either side of the estuary. So if you're from Llanelli or Swansea, there's obviously a big rivalry between the Scarlets and the Ospreys. The estuary doesn't care about that. But what happens when this is on a much larger scale? So this is the Solway Firth, and this is one of my sites, and it's on the border between Scotland and England on the west coast. It's also very clear in this photo that it is just one interconnected system, but this estuary is subject to two different nations and then multiple local authorities as well. When this is on a national scale, it means that not only are they facing different communities and different personalities, they're also facing different legislation, different national priorities for conservation, different funding structures, and all of these things make collaboration across border a little bit more difficult. So I'm looking at 3 other case studies aside from the Solway Firth, which include Carlingford Loch, which is on the Northern Irish and Irish border, which is particularly difficult since Brexit because this is also the UK and EU border. And the border for this site is contested. It's basically not fully agreed. If you look at Irish legislation versus Northern Irish legislation, they slightly disagree about where it is, and they just have a kind of gentleman's agreement that it's down the middle, but this leads to issues when it comes to actual practice. Then I have 2 sites which are on the Welsh-English border, including the Dee Estuary up north and the Severn Estuary down south. The Severn Estuary is particularly interesting as over 9 different local authorities also sit on it. So not only does it have the implications of the national border, but that's a lot of different personalities and priorities of councils to juggle. So how have I been looking at this project? Well, I've come with the principle of using co-design. Basically, I come from a human geography and political science background. I love conservation. I used to volunteer at Plenclacwydd when I was younger, but I'm not a conservationist. So I wanted to actually speak to the people that do this every day. So I spoke with 25 participants from a range of backgrounds, including environmental bodies, ENGOs, community projects and coastal partnerships to understand what challenges they're actually facing when they're working across borders and what research could do to better support them going forward. And co-design just means that the interviews will form the full direction of my research. So my research questions and chapters will be formed around what issues matter the most to these people. So as an example of some emerging themes, I'm sure it'll come to no surprise to anyone here that funding and resource challenges are massive in conservation at the moment. This is only exacerbated when it comes to the facing different national structures. Short-term funding is a massive problem. A lot of funding is only done on an annual basis. When you're having to navigate 2 different funding structures, that's a massive issue. There's very few examples of true cross-border funds that exist on the national scale. Obviously, when this comes to local authorities, it works a little bit better. There's these 2 quotes that basically speak about how new, shiny, innovative, creative projects are prioritised over projects that need continual funding. So things like preventing climate change, working against invasive species, often aren't as attractive to necessarily fund, which means that this work, while key, gets left behind. Yeah, that's just a very light touch on my PhD research to date. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much for listening.